Nobody noticed the quiet woman in seat C-12A, until fighter jets surrounded the plane. When pilots radioed "Iron Fist" over speakers, passengers froze. The scars on her arms suddenly made sense. She wasn't a threat. She was a legend. And her past just caught up at 30,000 feet. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. She sits alone in seat C-12A, window side, wearing clothes that tell no stories. Plain jeans. A gray jacket with sleeves rolled to the elbows. Scuffed leather boots that have walked places most people will never see. The fabric is worn soft, comfortable in the way things become when they've been through enough. Commander Elena Ward does not look like someone important. She does not carry herself like someone who wants to be noticed. Her posture is straight without being rigid, the kind of bearing that comes from muscle memory, not effort. Calm settles around her like still water. The businessman in C-12B keeps glancing at her forearm. Faint scars trace lines across her skin, not dramatic, not hidden, just there. He looks, then looks away quickly, then looks again when he thinks she won't notice. She notices everything. She always has. But she doesn't react. She learned long ago that reactions give people permission to ask questions. The flight attendant offers coffee. Elena nods once. "Black," she says. 2 syllables. No smile, no thank you, no invitation for conversation. The attendant senses something closed in her, not cold, not unkind, just shut. Like a door that's been locked from the inside for good reason. She moves on. No one else talks to Elena. No one needs to. She radiates a quiet that asks to be left alone, and people respect it without knowing why. Maybe it's the boots. Maybe it's the way her eyes track movement in the cabin without her head turning. Maybe it's something deeper that humans recognize without words, the sense that this person has seen things that separate her from ordinary life. United Airlines Flight 237. San Diego to Washington, D.C. routine flight on a Tuesday morning. Clear skies. Soft engine noise. The cabin feels ordinary, people scrolling phones, adjusting headphones, settling into that peculiar boredom that comes with being trapped in a metal tube at 30,000 feet. Nothing suggests this flight will be remembered. Elena looks out the window. Blue sky stretches endlessly. She doesn't see beauty anymore, just distance, vectors, potential threat zones her mind maps automatically. Old habits don't die. They just go quiet. Her phone sits face down on the tray table. She hasn't checked it in 20 minutes. This itself is unusual for her, she who once monitored 6 communication channels simultaneously during operations. But there's nothing to monitor now. No team depending on her decisions. No mission requiring her attention. Just the empty space where purpose used to live. The truth Elena doesn't tell anyone, retirement feels like drowning in slow motion. Like standing on the wrong side of a locked door wearing the wrong uniform. She left military service 6 months ago. Medical board. Paperwork. Ceremony. They called it honorable. They called it necessary. They didn't call it easy. The injury happened during her final operation, details classified, location classified, outcome classified. Everything about that night is sealed in files only a handful of people can access. But the injury itself is simple enough. Her right knee. Nothing dramatic. No battlefield explosion, no heroic moment. Just a landing that went wrong, weight distributed incorrectly, ligaments that decided they'd had enough. The doctors explained it clinically. Cumulative damage. Years of stress. Operations that pushed her body past recommended limits. Recovery possible, but not to operational standard. Not to the level required for someone whose job description included phrases like high-risk insertion and direct action under fire. She argued. Of course she argued. Showed them her physical therapy results. Demonstrated her mobility. Proved she could still complete the training courses. But military medicine doesn't grade on effort. It grades on certainty. And they couldn't be certain her knee wouldn't fail during a mission that depended on it. So she walked out. Took her discharge papers. Attended the ceremony where they pinned another medal on her chest and said words about service and sacrifice. She stood still and let it happen because that's what you do. Then she went home to an apartment that felt too quiet, too empty, too full of time she didn't know how to fill. Her call sign was Iron Fist. Not a nickname someone gave her as a joke. Not something that emerged from a single moment. It came from years of consistency, the way she operated, the way she led, the way she never broke under pressure. Iron Fist meant something to those who served. It wasn't legend. It was reference. The standard others measured themselves against. She flew missions that will never be discussed publicly. Saved teammates in combat zones that don't officially exist. Completed operations that shifted outcomes without anyone outside knowing operations occurred. Much of her work lives in classified files marked with clearance levels most service members will never reach. But none of that matters now. Now she's just a woman on a plane, trying to figure out how to exist without a mission. She shifts slightly in her seat. Her knee reminds her it's there, not pain exactly, but presence. A stiffness that announces itself when she moves certain ways. She adjusts the angle of her leg, careful, practiced. No brace. No limp. Just the memory of pain that hasn't entirely learned to leave. The businessman beside her notices the movement. His eyes flick to her, then away. She can feel his nervousness. People always sense something off about her. Something that doesn't match the civilian clothes and the quiet demeanor. They can't name it, but they feel it. The way animals feel weather changing before it arrives. Elena doesn't want to be here. She argued about flying under her real name, argued quietly, professionally, with people who make decisions about security protocols. They explained it wasn't optional. Certain names in certain databases trigger certain procedures. Her name is one of them. She typed it anyway on the booking form, Elena Ward. No rank. No call sign. No shield. Tomorrow she has a ceremony she doesn't want to attend. Captain Noah Reed, her team leader for 7 years, sent her a message last night, tomorrow is still on. I know you don't want it. Just don't disappear on me. She replied simply, I'll be there. The ceremony is at the Pentagon. Something about recognition. Something about honor. She doesn't want to hear any of it. Judgment fades with time. Applause lingers. Applause asks you to stand still and accept things you're not sure you deserve. It asks you to be grateful for attention when what you really want is to fade into whatever comes after service. But Noah asked. And you don't say no to Noah. Exhaustion sits deep in her bones. Not the kind sleep fixes. The weight of learning how to be nobody after being somebody who mattered. The strange vertigo of waking up with no orders, no briefing, no mission timeline. Just hours stacking on hours with nothing to shape them. She doesn't want to be remembered. Memory turns people into stories. Stories smooth over the parts that still wake her at night. The decisions that could have gone differently. The faces she carries. The weight that never quite lifts. The flight attendant passes again. Offers water. Elena shakes her head once. The woman moves on without pushing. At least there's that. At least people here understand the word no without needing explanation. Outside the window, nothing but sky. Inside the cabin, nothing but the low hum of people existing in temporary proximity. Elena closes her eyes. Breathes. Counts backward from 10 the way she used to before operations. Old ritual. Meaningless now. But muscle memory runs deep. She doesn't know that everything is about to change. Doesn't know that in 3 minutes, her anonymity will shatter. Doesn't know that the sky outside her window is about to fill with consequences she can't control. She just sits. Breathing. Counting. Trying to be nobody. The captain's voice cuts through the cabin speakers. Professional. Controlled. But something underneath, a tension that trained ears recognize. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated and keep your seatbelts fastened. We have been informed that 2 Air Force fighter jets are now escorting our aircraft. This is a routine security protocol. There is no cause for alarm. We will provide more information as we receive it. Elena does not look out the window. She keeps her eyes forward, breathing even and controlled. Her hands rest flat on her thighs. No tension. No visible reaction. Panic is moving around her like weather, but it never reaches her skin. Around her, the cabin changes. Whispers replace murmurs. People crane toward windows. Phones come out, pulled from pockets, bags, seatback compartments. The businessman beside her sits straighter, shoulders tight with sudden tension. She feels his unspoken questions like pressure against her skin. Is she dangerous? Is she involved? Is she the reason? He glances at her boots again. At the scars on her forearm. At the way she sits completely still while everyone else fidgets. She can read his thoughts clearly, former military, at best. Threat, at worst. A woman across the aisle points out the window. I can see them, she says, voice climbing. 2 jets. Right there. The whispers spread faster. Why would they escort us? Is someone on board? Is this a hijacking? Fear looks for a shape it can understand. People need reasons. They need something to point at, someone to blame. Elena knows how this works. She's seen panic ripple through groups before. The way it searches for a target. Her phone vibrates against her leg. She glances down. Message from Captain Noah Reed, where are you? She types back, commercial flight. San Diego to Washington. Being escorted. 3 dots appear immediately. Then, that's not routine. I'm checking. Stay where you are. Elena almost laughs. Stay where you are. Like she has a choice at 30,000 feet. The captain speaks again. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to assure you this is standard security protocol. The escort is precautionary. We are in no danger. Please remain calm. His words meant to soothe, do the opposite. The businessman beside Elena shifts in his seat. She can feel him working up to something, a question, an accusation, some kind of confrontation. Men like him always need to assert control when they feel it slipping. Elena finally allows herself to look out the window. The fighter jets sit just off the wing, close enough to read their posture. F-22 Raptors. Spacing precise, disciplined, protective. This isn't a response to a threat inside the aircraft. This is containment. But not from fear. This is something else. She opens a secure channel on her phone, one she hasn't used in months, thought she'd never use again. Contacts Lieutenant Colonel Maya Chen, Air Force Intelligence, someone who owes her 3 favors and has never forgotten. Maya answers on the first ring. Iron Fist. Elena closes her eyes briefly at the call sign. Where are you? Maya asks. Commercial flight. San Diego to Washington. Being escorted by 2 F-22s. Silence. Long enough to mean something. Then, that's not routine. I know. Are you in danger? No. I don't think so. Another pause. I'm checking now. Stay where you are. Elena ends the call. Watches the jets. They're flying in perfect formation, not aggressive, not threatening. Protective. Like they're guarding something valuable. The escort tightens. She sees it before anyone else notices. 2 more jets appear, seamless, unannounced, sliding into position. No alarm. No warning. The sky simply fills with purpose. The businessman sees them now. 4 jets, he says, voice thin. There are 4 jets out there. Other passengers turn to look. Someone starts crying. A child asks a question his mother can't answer. The cabin feels smaller suddenly, the air thicker. Maya calls back. Her tone has changed. Elena. I need to ask you something. Are you flying under your real name? The question lands hard. Elena watches the jets adjust their formation. Yes. Maya swears. That explains it. Your name is flagged in the system. Not as a threat, as a priority. High-value asset. Protective protocols. I'm retired. Retired doesn't erase you. Maya's voice goes soft. Especially not after everything. Everything. A word people use when they don't want to list names. When the operations are classified and the outcomes are sealed and the only thing anyone can say is, everything. They're escorting you, Maya says. Not the plane. You. Elena closes her eyes. That doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense. You just don't want it to. Through the cabin speakers, a fragment of sound slips through, distorted, brief, lost beneath the engine hum. Radio chatter bleeding through somehow. 2 words, Iron Fist. No one reacts. No one hears it for what it is. To them, just noise. Static. Interference. Elena hears it. Her fingers tighten once on the armrest. Then relax. Her face doesn't change. But something shifts in her chest, a recognition she's been avoiding for months. The past doesn't stay past just because you want it to. 2 rows back, a man straightens suddenly. Retired Marine, Elena knows without looking, she spotted him during boarding. The way he moved. The haircut. The bearing. He heard it too. That fragment of call sign. His eyes narrow. Recognition forming without needing to be named. Her phone rings. Unknown number. She answers without speaking. Commander Elena Ward. The voice is male, professional, controlled. This is Lieutenant Colonel Jack Hayes, United States Air Force. Call sign Viper. I am lead on your escort. I need to confirm identity. Can you verify your call sign? Elena looks at the lead jet through the window. Imagines the pilot looking back. Iron Fist. Silence stretches. She can hear him breathing. Can hear the difference in his breath, the moment recognition settles. Iron Fist, ma'am. Confirmed. His voice changes. The procedural edge softens. It's an honor. You can use commander, she says. I'm retired. Yes, ma'am. And no, ma'am. Not to us. She doesn't know what to say to that. She's been retired for 6 months. Turned in her gear. Signed the papers. Walked away from the only life she knew. But this pilot, this stranger in the sky, is telling her it didn't take. Why are you escorting this flight, she asks. Once your identity was verified through passenger manifest, escort parameters were updated. Updated how? Honor configuration, ma'am. That's not necessary. A pause. Respectful but firm. With permission, Iron Fist, it absolutely is. More jets slide into formation. She counts them now. 6. Then 8. Clean lines. Synchronized. The kind of precision reserved for air shows and presidential escorts. The cabin notices. Panic drains away, replaced by something heavier. Almost reverent. People trying to understand scale. "Ma'am, if I may, it's an honor to fly with you today." Viper's voice continues, quiet now. Almost gentle. "We studied your operations at Nellis. Ramadi. Mosul. The work that never made it past closed rooms. Your call sign isn't a nickname to us. It's a reference point." Elena shifts slightly. Her knee protests. "You don't need to do this. Ma'am, we don't do this for just anyone." The formation becomes ceremonial. Not a wall. A frame. The kind of discipline reserved for parades and funerals. Respect given shape in the sky. Inside the cabin, silence spreads naturally. The crying stops. The whispers fade. People sense something has changed. They don't know what. But they feel it. A flight attendant pauses mid-aisle. She's looking from the window to Elena. Eyes wide but steady. Trying to understand. She approaches slowly. "Ma'am." Her voice is soft. Professional. "The captain asked me to let you know, the escort is for you." Elena nods once. The attendant steps back. Her hands are trembling. "Thank you," she whispers. "For your service." Elena says nothing. What is there to say? Your welcome feels wrong. It wasn't a favor. It was a job. One she'd still be doing if her knee hadn't given out. The businessman beside her types into his phone. She can see the screen from the corner of her eye. He's searching her name. Elena Ward. Navy SEAL. His face changes. Confusion to focus to disbelief held carefully in check. He tilts the screen slightly. The woman across the aisle leans in. Reads. Her eyes widen. The look passes on. Seat to seat. Quiet realization rippling through the cabin. People pulling out phones. Typing names. Reading words. Looking at her with new eyes. The retired Marine 2 rows back stands. Walks forward. Stops at her row. His posture is perfect. Military bearing doesn't fade. It just waits. "Ma'am." His voice carries. Sergeant Thomas Hale. United States Marine Corps, retired. Desert Storm. Fallujah. 2 tours. He pauses. "I served with men who spoke your call sign like it was a standard, not a story. I just wanted to thank you." Elena stands. The businessman scrambles out of her way. She faces Sergeant Hale in the narrow aisle. He raises his hand, crisp salute in a space too small for it. Elena returns it without hesitation. Perfect. The exchange lasts 1 second. Changes everything. The cabin freezes. Phones lower. Even the engines seem quieter. The intercom clicks. Not the captain this time. Different voice. Coming from somewhere else. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Lieutenant Colonel Jack Hayes, United States Air Force, call sign Viper. I'm the lead pilot on your escort formation." Every head turns toward the speakers. The escort you're seeing is not in response to a threat. It is an honors detail. We were tasked to ensure the safe passage of Commander Elena Ward, United States Navy, retired. Call sign Iron Fist. Silence. Deep and dense and attentive. Commander Ward's service spans decades of joint operations across multiple theaters. Much of it will never be discussed publicly. Operational security requires certain sacrifices remain invisible. But among those who serve, her name is taught as the standard we measure ourselves against. Not as legend. As reference. Elena stares at the seat back in front of her. Breathing carefully. This escort is not about spectacle. It's about recognition. About ensuring that those who carried the weight of others did not carry it alone on the way home. We consider it the highest privilege to accompany Commander Ward today. No applause. No one claps. Gravity doesn't invite noise. It invites stillness. The woman across the aisle is crying. Not scared anymore. Something else. The businessman beside Elena's empty seat has his hand over his mouth. The child who was asking questions earlier sits quiet, sensing something important happening beyond his understanding. Elena sits back down. Sergeant Hale returns to his seat. The cabin holds its breath. Outside the window, the formation adjusts. 8 jets now flying in perfect symmetry. The sky full of purpose she never asked for. Elena stares at the seat back. Counts the stitching in the fabric. Focuses on details. Anything to keep from feeling the weight of attention pressing against her like water pressure. Her phone vibrates. Noah, I'm hearing chatter. What's happening? She types, they're escorting me. Honor detail. 3 dots. Then, good. You earned it. She doesn't respond. Earning isn't the problem. Accepting is. The flight attendant approaches again. Ma'am, is there anything we can get you? Anything at all? Elena shakes her head. I'm fine. The captain would like to speak with you after we land. If that's acceptable. Of course. The attendant hesitates. My brother served. Army. Afghanistan. He used to talk about people like you. People who did the jobs no one else could do. He said you were the reason he made it home. Elena looks up. What's your brother's name? Michael. Michael Torres. I didn't know him. I know. But he knew about you. That matters. After the attendant leaves, Elena closes her eyes. Breathes through the tightness in her chest. This is what she was afraid of. Not the ceremony tomorrow. Not the medals or the speeches. This. The moment when her past stops being private. When it becomes something others claim ownership of. She never wanted to be a symbol. She wanted to be useful. There's a difference. The businessman finally speaks. I'm sorry. His voice is quiet. For looking at you like, he stops. I didn't know. You weren't supposed to know. Still. I'm sorry. Elena nods. Accepts it. Moves on. She learned long ago that civilians apologize for things that don't require apology. It's easier to let them. Through the window, one of the jets banks slightly. She can see the pilot's helmet. Wonders who he is. What operations he's flown. Whether he's lost anyone. Whether he carries weight like she does. Viper's voice comes through her phone. Iron Fist will be maintaining escort to final approach. After that, you'll have a ground reception. That's not necessary. Already arranged, ma'am. This isn't just us. This is joint forces. Navy. Marines. Army. Air Force. When we heard you were traveling, people volunteered. Her throat tightens. I don't need this. Need isn't the question. His voice is gentle. Respect is. And ma'am, with all due respect, you don't get to decide what respect looks like when it's being offered. She has no answer for that. The aircraft begins its descent. The jets adjust with it. Perfect formation holding through altitude changes and air turbulence. She watches them work. Recognizes the skill. The hours of training. The discipline that turns individual aircraft into single purpose. The retired Marine, Sergeant Hale, stands again. This time others follow. One by one. A woman in business attire. A young man in a college sweatshirt. A couple holding hands. They line the aisle. Stand at attention. Not perfect. Not military. But trying. Offering respect in the only way they know. Elena doesn't stand. Can't. If she stands, if she acknowledges this, something inside her will break. The wall she's built around her grief and her guilt and her desperate need to fade into nothing will crack. She can feel it happening already. The businessman beside her stands too. "Thank you," he says. Simple. No explanation needed. She nods. That's all she can manage. The captain's voice returns. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're beginning our final descent into Washington, D.C. Please return to your seats and ensure your seatbelts are fastened." People sit. But the atmosphere has changed. No one pulls out phones to play games. No one puts headphones back in. Everyone sits quietly. Watching the jets. Watching Elena. Bearing witness. Maya sends a message, "Video is circulating. Someone on your flight posted about the escort. It's spreading. You should know." Elena closes her eyes. Of course. Everyone has phones. Everyone shares everything. Privacy died somewhere between the invention of social media and the normalization of constant documentation. Noah calls. She almost doesn't answer. But Noah doesn't call unless it's important. "You okay?" he asks. "No. I'm at the airport. I'll meet you at the gate." "You don't have to do that. Elena." His voice is firm. "I'll meet you at the gate." She ends the call. Stares out the window. The jets are still there. Constant. Present. Not leaving until the job is done. The job. That's what this is to them. A job. A mission. Ensure safe passage of high-value asset. Demonstrate respect. Honor the sacrifice. Complete the objective. But to her, it's something else. It's the past refusing to stay past. It's the title she tried to shed clinging to her skin. It's the weight she carries getting heavier because now others see it. Now it's real to them. Now she can't pretend it doesn't exist. The aircraft descends through clouds. The city appears below, buildings and monuments and streets full of people who have no idea what's happening in the sky above them. Life continuing. Ordinary and oblivious. As they approach final approach, the lead jet pulls ahead. Banks away. The others follow. One by one. Not random. Deliberate. She recognizes the pattern before it completes. Missing man formation. The military's way of honoring those who didn't make it home. One jet breaks away. Climbs. Leaves an empty space in the formation that everyone sees. Everyone feels. But she's not dead. She's sitting here. Breathing. Alive. Unless this isn't for her. Unless this is for everyone she couldn't bring home. For every name she carries. For every operation that ended with fewer people returning than departed. Her chest hurts. She presses her fist against it. Breathes through her nose. Holds it together because that's what you do. You hold it together until you're alone. Then you break. Never in public. The businessman sees. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine." He doesn't believe her. But he doesn't push. At least there's that. The jets complete the formation. The missing man climbs until he's just a speck against blue sky. Then disappears. The others reform. Tighter. Closer. Holding the space where their wingman was. The aircraft touches down. Smooth. Professional. The pilots on this flight doing their job with the same precision as the fighter pilots above them. Everyone part of the same machine. Everyone honoring the same thing. As they taxi, Elena sees them. Fire trucks on both sides of the taxiway. Lights flashing. No sirens. Water arcs rising, twin fountains crossing above the aircraft. Passage of honor. The kind reserved for final flights of retiring pilots. For aircraft carrying remains of fallen service members. For people who earned it. Her hands are shaking. She presses them flat against her thighs. Breathes. Counts. Tries to remember who she was before this moment. Before everything changed again. The woman across the aisle is crying. So is the college kid. The couple holding hands squeezes tighter. Sergeant Hale sits perfectly still, eyes forward, jaw tight with the kind of emotion that has no good outlet. The captain speaks. Commander Ward, on behalf of the entire crew, it has been the highest honor to have you aboard today. Thank you for your service. The cabin erupts. Not loud. Not rowdy. But firm. Sustained applause that doesn't fade. Doesn't stop. Keeps going until Elena has no choice but to acknowledge it. She stands. Turns. Nods to the passengers. They stand too. All of them. Even the child. His mother has her hand on his shoulder, teaching him something about respect without words. Elena's eyes are wet. She blinks it away. Nods again. Sits back down. The applause continues. She wants it to stop. Wants to cover her ears and close her eyes and wake up in her quiet apartment where no one knows her name. But you can't undo moments like this. They're permanent. They change the shape of everything that comes after. The aircraft stops at the gate. The seatbelt sign goes off. No one moves. Everyone waits. Giving her space. Giving her the moment. Elena stands. Grabs her small backpack from the overhead bin. It's all she brought. She travels light. Always has. The businessman steps into the aisle. Gestures for her to go first. She walks toward the front. Every face turns. Every eye follows. She keeps her gaze forward. Focused. One foot in front of the other. The same way she walked into combat zones. The same way she walked out. The flight attendants stand at attention near the door. All of them. The one whose brother served in Afghanistan has tears running down her face. She salutes. It's awkward and imperfect. Elena salutes back. Crisp. Clean. The way she was taught. The captain emerges from the cockpit. He's older than she expected. Gray hair. Lines around his eyes. He extends his hand. She takes it. Commander Ward. Captain James Mitchell. It's been the privilege of my career to fly you home today. Thank you, Captain. My son is a Marine. Currently deployed. He talks about you. About the standards you set. About what it means to lead. His voice cracks slightly. I just wanted to say thank you. For giving him something to aspire to. Elena nods. Can't speak. If she speaks, she'll break. She steps through the door. Into the jetway. Expects it to be empty. It's not. They line both sides. Navy dress uniforms. Marine greens. Army blues. Air Force service coats. 2 rows of service members standing at attention. Shoulder to shoulder. Motionless. At the front, Rear Admiral Jonathan Keller. Elena knows him. Served with him. He's older now. More gray. More stars. But the same man who once pulled her out of a situation that went bad and never asked for thanks. He raises his hand. Salutes. The entire formation follows. One motion. Precise. Absolute. Elena returns it. Her arm steady. Her hand sharp. Every inch of her posture correct. Not because she's trying. Because it's who she is. The Admiral steps forward. Embraces her. Welcome home, Iron Fist. I've been home for 6 months, sir. No. He steps back. Looks at her. Now you're home. The formation parts. Creates a path. She walks through it. Every face she passes is young. Younger than she remembers being. Each one looking at her like she's something more than human. Something carved from stone and circumstance. She wants to tell them she's not. She's just a person who did a job. Who tried to bring people home. Who failed sometimes and succeeded others. Who carries weight like everyone else. But they don't want to hear that. They want the symbol. The standard. The thing they can point to and say, this is what we're aiming for. She can't give them truth. So she gives them silence. Lets them keep whatever version of her they need. Noah is waiting past the formation. Captain Noah Reed. Her team leader for 7 years. The man who trained her. Who trusted her. Who still calls every week even though she rarely answers. He doesn't salute. Doesn't stand at attention. Just walks forward and wraps his arms around her. Holds her the way you hold someone you thought you might lose. You don't get to disappear, he says quietly. Not from us. For the first time that day, her composure cracks. Just a little. Just enough. She presses her face against his shoulder and breathes. Counts. Holds on. I tried, she whispers. I know. But being a SEAL doesn't end when the uniform comes off. The trident doesn't disappear. It becomes responsibility. She pulls back. Wipes her eyes quickly. I'm tired, Noah. I know. But you're not done. Command Master Chief Olivia Grant approaches. Another familiar face. Another person from before. Iron Fist. Her voice is warm. Firm. You are still one of us. Always. The formation follows them through the airport. Other travelers stop. Stare. Point. Pull out phones. Some recognize what's happening. Others just sense importance. Either way, they pause. They witness. Elena walks through it all. Head up. Eyes forward. Carrying herself the way she always has. The weight hasn't lifted. It never will. But now others see it. Now she's not carrying it alone. They emerge into sunlight. A black SUV waits. Flags mounted on the hood. Official. Formal. Noah opens the door. Elena climbs in. He follows. As they pull away, she looks back. The formation still stands at attention. Watching her leave. Holding the moment. She raises her hand. Waves once. They don't move. Don't break formation. Just stand there. Bearing witness. Offering respect. Tomorrow's ceremony, Noah says. You still planning to attend? Do I have a choice? No. She almost laughs. Then I guess I'll be there. Good. Because what happened today, that's going to be nothing compared to tomorrow. She closes her eyes. I don't want this. I know. But Elena, you earned it. Every bit of it. And whether you want it or not, you're going to accept it with grace. Because that's what leaders do. I'm not a leader anymore. You'll always be a leader. That's the burden you carry. That's the weight that doesn't lift. She watches the city pass. Monuments to people who did important things. Buildings full of people making decisions that affect millions. A world that keeps turning whether she's part of it or not. Why did they do that, she asks quietly. The escort. The formation. All of it. Because you matter, Elena. Because the work you did matters. Because the people you saved and the missions you completed and the standard you set, it all matters. And we don't forget. Ever. She nods. Doesn't argue. Too tired to fight. Get some rest, Noah says. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. 6 months later, Elena stands in a classroom at the Naval Special Warfare Center in Coronado. She's wearing civilian clothes. No uniform. No rank insignia. Just jeans and a button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up. The scars on her forearm visible. 30 candidates sit in rows. All of them young. All of them watching her with the same expression she saw on the flight. The same expression she's been seeing for 6 months. Reverence mixed with curiosity. Hope mixed with doubt. She didn't want this job. Noah talked her into it. You don't want to retire, he said. You want to disappear. There's a difference. Let me give you a third option. So now she teaches. Not tactics. Not procedures. Those are covered by active instructors. She teaches something else. Something harder to name. The weight of leadership. The responsibility of carrying others. The choices that haunt you. The mission brief said we'd extract 3 targets, she tells them. We extracted 2. The third didn't make it. The room is silent. Attentive. His name was Petty Officer David Chen. 26 years old. Father of 2. He died because I made a call. Prioritized speed over safety. Believed we had a window that turned out to be smaller than I thought. She pauses. Looks at each face. Sees them absorbing it. Processing. I carry him. Every day. Every decision I make now, in this classroom, in my life, anywhere, I carry the weight of that choice. Not as punishment. As responsibility. A hand raises. Young man in the 3rd row. Intense eyes. How do you live with it, he asks. Elena considers. She's been asked this question 100 times in the past 6 months. During interviews. During ceremonies. During quiet conversations with people who want to understand. You don't, she says finally. You carry it forward. You make choices that honor it. You don't forget. Ever. That's the cost of leadership. That's what it means to stand at the front. Another hand. But you saved thousands. The operations you've completed. Don't balance, she interrupts. That's not how it works. You don't get to subtract the lives you saved from the lives you lost and call the result acceptable. You carry all of it. The successes don't erase the failures. They coexist. She walks to the window. Looks out at the ocean. The same ocean she trained in decades ago. The same waves. Different person. When I retired, she continues, I thought I could leave it behind. The weight. The responsibility. The names. I thought retirement meant freedom from carrying it. She turns back to them. I was wrong. Being a SEAL doesn't end when you turn in your gear. The trident doesn't come off just because you stop wearing the uniform. It becomes part of who you are. Forever. The young man who asked the first question speaks again. That flight 6 months ago. The escort. Is that why you're here? Because you couldn't escape. Elena almost smiles. I'm here because Captain Reed is stubborn. And because I learned something on that flight. She sits on the edge of the desk. Casual. Open. I thought recognition was about me. About my ego. About wanting attention or praise. I was wrong. Recognition isn't for the person being honored. It's for everyone else. It's saying, this matters. This standard matters. The work matters. The sacrifice matters. She looks at the scars on her arm. Traces them with one finger. Those pilots who escorted my flight, they didn't do it for me. They did it for themselves. For the reminder that the work we do has meaning. That the weight we carry is acknowledged. That we're not alone in it. The room sits with that. Thinking. Understanding beginning to form. That's what you're signing up for, Elena continues. Not the missions. Not the operations. Not the recognition. You're signing up to carry weight that doesn't lift. To make choices that will haunt you. To hold the lives of others in your hands and accept that sometimes, despite everything you do, those lives slip through your fingers. Silence. Heavy and complete. And when that happens, she says quietly, when you lose someone, and you will, you don't get to quit. You don't get to walk away. You carry them forward. You honor them by being better. By learning. By making sure their death meant something. A woman in the front row speaks. How do you know if you're strong enough for that weight? Elena looks at her. Really looks. Sees herself 20 years ago. Same doubt. Same fear. Same desperate need to know if she could handle what was coming. You don't, Elena says. Not until the moment arrives. Then you either carry it or you break. Most people break. Some people carry. The ones who carry become the ones others depend on. She stands. Walks back to the window. The ocean looks peaceful from here. She knows it's not. She's been under those waves. Knows the currents. The cold. The way water gets into your lungs when you're too tired to fight anymore. 6 months ago, I wanted to disappear, she says. I wanted to be nobody. I thought that would be easier than being Iron Fist. Than being the person everyone looked to. The standard everyone measured themselves against. She turns. Faces them. I was wrong again. You don't get to choose what you become. You only get to choose how you carry it. I can carry it with resentment. With anger. With the belief that I'm being punished for doing my job. Or I can carry it with purpose. With the understanding that my experience might help someone else. Might give them the strength to carry their own weight when the time comes. The instructor at the back of the room nods. He's heard this before. But he listens anyway. Because the words change each time. Because Elena is still learning what they mean. Tomorrow you'll do water training, Elena says. Some of you will quit. Not because you're weak. Because you're honest. You'll realize this isn't what you want. That the weight is too heavy. That recognition doesn't matter. There's no shame in that. The shame is in pretending you can carry weight you can't. She gathers her notes. Doesn't look at them. Never does. Being a SEAL means living with doubt. With fear. With the constant question, am I enough? The answer is usually no. You're not enough. None of us are. But we carry the weight anyway. Because someone has to. Because the mission matters more than our adequacy. The young man in the third row stands. Thank you, Commander. I'm not a commander anymore. Yes, ma'am, he says. Firm. Certain. You are. Elena holds his gaze. Sees the future in his eyes. Sees him on missions she'll never know about. Sees him making choices that will haunt him. Sees him carrying weight that will never lift. Good luck, she says. Means it. Knows it won't be enough. She leaves the classroom. Walks down the hall. Past photos of former SEALs. Past memorial plaques. Past names carved in stone. So many names. Too many. Her phone buzzes. Noah, dinner tonight? Or are you still avoiding me? She types back, I'm not avoiding you. I'm busy. Same thing. 6 o'clock. Don't make me come find you. She puts the phone away. Smiles slightly. Noah knows her too well. Knows she'll show up. Knows she needs the anchor of familiar faces. The reminder that she's not carrying everything alone. Outside, the sun is setting. Orange and pink spreading across the sky. Beautiful in the way things are beautiful when you stop trying to analyze them. When you just let them be. She sits on a bench. Watches candidates running on the beach. They're struggling. Exhausted. Pushing past limits they didn't know they had. Some will make it. Most won't. That's how it works. A younger officer approaches. Lieutenant. Fresh-faced. Eager. Commander Ward. I'm Lieutenant Sarah Kim. I just wanted to say, that flight 6 months ago. I was deployed when the video went viral. Everyone on base watched it. It reminded us why we serve. Elena nods. Thank you, Lieutenant. Can I ask you something? You can ask. How do you handle it? Being a symbol. Having people look at you like you're more than human. Elena considers the question. It's a good one. Honest. I don't, she admits. I handle being a person who did a job. The symbol part, that's not mine to handle. That's theirs. The people who need to believe someone can carry impossible weight and not break. I can't control what they need. I can only control what I do. Lieutenant Kim nods. Thinking. The escort on that flight, Elena continues, it wasn't about me. It was about them. About needing to honor something. About making the invisible visible. I just happened to be the person it attached to. But you earned it. Maybe. Probably. I don't know. Elena looks at the ocean. What I know is that every person who died under my command earned more than I'll ever receive. Every mission that went right earned less recognition than missions that went wrong. The math doesn't work. So I stopped trying to make it balance. Lieutenant Kim sits beside her. Quiet. Comfortable with silence in the way military people are. I leave for deployment next month, she says eventually. First combat mission. You ready? No. But I'll go anyway. Elena nods. That's the right answer. Anyone who says they're ready is lying. You go anyway. You do the job. You carry the weight. Then you come home and you carry it some more. Will it get easier? No. But you'll get stronger. Those aren't the same thing, but they're enough. They sit together. Watching the sun set. Watching candidates struggle. Watching the ocean hold everything it's ever seen. The ceremony tomorrow, Lieutenant Kim says. At the Pentagon. You'll be there. Unfortunately. I'll be in the audience. My unit drew lots. I won. Elena almost laughs. Won. That's generous. I think so. I get to see Iron Fist receive the Navy Cross. That's history. It's politics. It's recognition, Lieutenant Kim corrects gently. For work that mattered. For choices that saved lives. For weight you carried so others didn't have to. Elena doesn't argue. Too tired. Too aware that arguing won't change anything. Can I tell you something? Lieutenant Kim asks. You've made it this far. When I was deciding whether to join the Navy, my father told me women couldn't be SEALs. That the standards were too high. That I should choose something realistic. She pauses. Elena waits. Then I read about you. About what you accomplished. About the teams you led. About being the standard others measured themselves against. And I realized my father was wrong. Women can do anything. We just need proof that it's possible. Elena looks at her. Really looks. Sees herself again. Different face. Same determination. Don't use me as proof, Elena says. Use yourself. I'm just one person who got lucky and worked hard and survived long enough to retire. You're your own proof. Every mission you complete. Every person you save. Every choice you make. That's the proof. Lieutenant Kim nods. Stands. Salutes. Elena returns it. Watches her walk away. Another person carrying another version of the weight. Her phone rings. Noah again. She answers. I'll be there at 6. Good. And Elena? Yeah. I'm proud of you. For teaching. For not disappearing. For carrying it forward. She closes her eyes. Breathes. I'm trying. That's all any of us do. Try. And sometimes that's enough. After he hangs up, Elena sits alone. Watching the sun finish setting. Watching darkness spread across water. Watching the world turn into night. She thinks about the flight. About the jets. About the formation that honored something she still doesn't fully understand. About passengers who stood. About Sergeant Hale's salute. About the way everything changed in the space between normal and recognized. She thinks about tomorrow. The ceremony. The Navy Cross. The speech she'll have to give. The people who will attend. The cameras. The permanence of being documented. She doesn't want it. Still doesn't. Probably never will. But Noah is right. Want doesn't matter. Responsibility matters. Standard matters. Showing up matters. So she'll show up. She'll stand still while they pin another medal on her chest. She'll say words about honor and service. She'll let people take photos. She'll become another footnote in military history. Another name. Another story. And then she'll come back here. To this bench. To this ocean. To the work of teaching people how to carry weight that doesn't lift. Because that's what it means to be Iron Fist. Not the missions. Not the recognition. The responsibility. The weight. The knowing that people are watching and you can't let them see you break. She stands. Brushes sand from her jeans. Starts walking toward her car. Behind her, candidates continue running. The ocean continues its endless motion. The world continues turning. And Elena Ward, Commander, Navy SEAL, Iron Fist, continues carrying everything she's ever carried. Not because she wants to. Because she has to. Because that's what the trident means. What service means. What honor means when no one is watching. The weight that never lifts. The responsibility that never ends. The standard that becomes your identity whether you want it or not. She drives away. Toward dinner with Noah. Toward tomorrow's ceremony. Toward whatever comes after. Carrying all of it. Always carrying all of it. Because that's what Iron Fist does.